Hello, divine creations, divine marvels, children of God. Thank you for dropping by this video. I how to say this? I really, I almost want to say I feel proud of myself that I feel like most of the questions that come my way, I have very clear answers based on my experience or just based on me knowing what Bruno said. I don't know if pride's the word. It's very satisfying to be able to answer people's questions, and I guess I feel confident to do so. And lately, I've been getting some questions I can't answer, which is wonderful. It's so good because, as I've said many times, and I won't ever get tired of saying it, I don't think, I'm not a guru and I'm not a master. I don't know it all by any means. Not that people think I do, but I'm just a guy who's made a little progress on this path. Some days it seems like I've made a lot of progress, and sometimes it seems like I've made like, like an inch of progress. So someone asked today, when we tune in, are we feeling Bruno's presence? Wow, what a question. What a question. My big answer is I don't know. My secondary answer is, Bruno likened himself to an operator. Back in the, Bruno taught in the 50s. He's like, I'm just like an old-fashioned operator. He said, I'm paraphrasing, but if you can't find the direct connection, I will help you find the connection. What that means is, back in the 50s, if you wanted to make a long-distance call, you couldn't just dial directly. You had to call the operator, and then the operator would connect you. And that was the operator's job, to connect you. And I think Bruno very clearly here is saying part of his job is to help us find the divine connection. So if we call on Bruno, are we feeling Bruno or are we feeling God? I assume a little bit of both, and mostly God. That's just my assumption. But again, I don't know. Sometimes when I'm really having trouble tuning in, I just focus on Bruno. And that really, like I'm doing it right now, and that really sort of amps up the healing stream. But once again, is that feeling Bruno, or is that Bruno doing his role of connecting me to God? The operator in that analogy doesn't carry on the conversation. Okay. Oh, the person who asked that is right here. That's funny. So that's really a question that I love, and it's just utterly beyond my, I can only share what I know Bruno said. He said two other interesting things. When you call me, I come and I help. And what is meant to happen will happen. And he also said, combine that with this. He said, I am always with you. Really believe it. I'm not just saying that. So according to Bruno Grüning, he's always with us. And if we call on him somehow, or focus on him somehow, that seems to increase the flow of energy. Is it God? Is it God and Bruno? Is it Bruno just doing his job of passing along the divine energy? These are very subtle questions, and I don't feel like, even if I had I kind of have an opinion, but even if I had a strong opinion, I don't think it would be my place to share that, right? Because it would just be an opinion. And Bruno, Bruno offers teachings, but all of his teachings are about ultimately helping us go beyond the need for teachings and having a direct connection to God ourselves. So, and someone also asked, I was talking about how, the need for a spiritual helper, and how I've just landed on Bruno as my helper. And the person asked, how do I find my helper? Again, love the question, but just way out of my league to answer, because my relationship with Bruno has been very different. At first it was like very focused on Bruno, but not. It was like, Bruno, please help, and having trust in Bruno, but I didn't really think of him as a person. It was more like he was just this guy who helped me. It wasn't. And then it was more just focusing on God, and like, sure, asking Bruno for help, but really focusing on God. And then it was more, and now it's more like really trusting in Bruno, like loving God and wanting to serve God, and really, really trusting in Bruno. And it feels a lot more like a relationship. And that's just been that's the short version of my journey. And Bruno's not the only helper. And but what I said to that person, and it worked for me, is when I found this teaching, I didn't really have a helper, and Bruno was a great place to start. And there were some days where I was like, I think Jesus is more my main homeboy. And I love Jesus. And today and yesterday that wasn't the case. That it's like, Bruno's my main squeeze. And I know there are people who come to this channel who, like, they don't really feel as so much of a connection with Bruno, and but they love his teachings, and they have a deep connection to Christ. In fact, I had one person come who was a pretty devout Christian, and I almost want to say a bit of a conservative Christian in a sense, but and she just really loved to feel God, and loved, and Bruno's teachings helped her to understand Christ's teachings more. So it's very personal, but what I can say from my own experience is Bruno's a great place to start. And and if he's not your ultimate helper, he'll help you find it. Bruno, please help me find my helper. And not everyone even is gonna, some people might, the first phase of my connection with Bruno, of just kind of like asking him for help and trusting him, but not really having a feeling of relationship or connection. That may be that, I just honor that everyone has their own unique path. And yeah, so they're great questions. And my ultimate answer is, like, keep tuning in and let us know what you discover. And yeah. I do know that I love Bruno, and I have just such deep respect for him. And I do trust him. I trust that he is pure, is, and will be pure. And yeah. Thanks so much for joining in. I hope that's helpful for people. I think it really comes down to, we each have our own. There are some universal spiritual principles, but ultimately we each are going to have our own relationship with God, and with a helper or teacher or guru or savior, or whatever you call, or maybe just a friend with a capital F. Thanks so much for joining in. Take care.